Title: I warned her, "Don't humiliate me at this gala." She laughed and gave her lover the award I was meant to receive. As I walked out, her phone rang. It was her mentor, Sobbing. The board just called. Your nomination. I told her not to humiliate me. She smiled like she always did. Soft, rehearsed, sweet poison behind porcelain teeth, and said I was being dramatic. But I meant every word. The gala lights shimmered like diamonds scattered across the ceiling, the air thick with perfume, ego, and champagne bubbles. My name was supposed to echo through that ballroom tonight. Years of work, mine, were about to be acknowledged. Then she did it. She called his name instead. Her voice didn't waver. She announced him, her brilliant collaborator, her true creative partner, and handed him the award I had built my life around. And I stood there, applause crushing my chest like glass. Her lover, smiling, took my recognition as if it had always belonged to him. The room clapped, cameras flashed, and she looked right at me, just long enough to watch me break behind my calm smile. I walked out before the applause died, and that's when her phone rang. I didn't hear it then, but I know what was said because she told me later, voice trembling, mascara streaked down her cheek. It was her mentor, Sobbing. The board just called, she said. Your nomination. God, what have you done? We used to share everything. Ideas, secrets, even our dreams of standing together on that stage. She was my best friend, my confidant, my co-founder. We built the company from a rented basement with second-hand laptops and coffee-stained notebooks. I believed in her brilliance as much as my own. When the investors came, she smiled and let me do the pitching. She said I was the words and she was the vision. I didn't notice how she said it like a hierarchy. But I started noticing things. Late-night calls that ended when I entered the room. Deleted emails on our shared drive. Her laughter, too familiar, with him, the so-called consultant. I didn't confront her then. I simply watched. And when she began rewriting the history of our work, inch by inch, I knew. She was erasing me. I kept my distance and started preparing. It's funny how silence unnerves people. She began to ask why I was so quiet, whether I was still on board for the gala speech, whether I was okay. I told her I was fine. I smiled, nodded, took notes. Meanwhile, I was building something else. Every email she sent from her company account, I archived it. Every private transaction between her and her lover, I traced it through the finance department. Every confidential design file she transferred off our shared server, I backed up before she deleted it. I hired a forensic accountant, quietly, a small retainer, paid in cash. Then I reached out to the board, carefully, anonymously. I gave them data, evidence, records, enough to make them question everything. They scheduled a private review of nominations for that innovation award. That was 3 weeks before the gala. She didn't know. She never suspected. Because she thought betrayal was a one-way game. On the night of the gala, I watched her from across the table. She looked radiant, draped in silver silk, every gesture calculated. Her hand brushed his under the table. His smirk was small, but I caught it. I could almost taste their triumph. When she stepped up to the podium, I knew the decision had been made. By her, not the board. She'd overridden protocol. She'd announced the winner before it was officially approved. She wanted the glory of giving him my crown. So I let her. The applause rose. The cameras clicked. She burned her bridge in front of the entire industry. And then, as I walked out, her phone rang. They revoked her nomination that night. Every sponsor pulled their funding within 48 hours. By Monday, the board had launched an internal audit. The press called it misappropriation of credit and company resources. She tried to call me, twice. I didn't answer. But when she showed up at my apartment, disheveled, eyes hollow, I let her speak. "You knew," she whispered. I didn't deny it. "You did this to me." I smiled. "No," I said, "you did this to yourself. I just made sure everyone saw it." She collapsed onto my couch, shaking. "They're saying I forged signatures, redirected funds. God, they're tearing me apart." "You gave your lover the award," I reminded her softly. That was enough. The truth was, I hadn't even needed to exaggerate her crimes. The data spoke for itself. She'd manipulated accounts, sent confidential documents to competitors through him, tried to rewrite project credits. I simply revealed it. She asked if I felt anything. I did. Relief. The fallout was public, merciless. He fled first, took another job overseas, and blocked her number. Her mentor resigned from the board, and the company, our company, offered me her shares in good faith, citing irreparable breach of trust. I didn't gloat, I didn't celebrate, but I attended the next gala, alone. The lights were just as bright, the air just as heavy. My name echoed through the room this time, crisp and deliberate. I stood where she once stood and accepted what was rightfully mine. I didn't look for her in the crowd. I already knew she wasn't there. Sometimes, late at night, I replay that phone call in my head, the one that shattered her composure, her mentor's voice trembling. "The board just called. Your nomination. God, what have you done?" What she'd done was simple. She underestimated me. She thought kindness was weakness. She thought silence meant surrender. She thought betrayal would bury me. But I don't break. I don't forget. And I never warn twice.